So next we're going to look at how we might use VLOOKUP statements instead of if statements. And the one that we're going to look at is the duration discount. So I'll just remove what's there at the moment and we'll start from scratch. So what we've got here is duration. So the user enters a duration here, so how many days they want the car to be hired for. And what I've done is I've set up this table, or the rules table for the duration, in a named range. So on the home ribbon, if you click into this box here, the name box, I've set up a name range called duration. So when I click on that, it brings me to where my duration rules are. Now, just in case you're unsure as to how you set up these named ranges, it's very simple. The reason it's very useful is because no matter where I am in this workbook, if I click on this pull down menu and I select the name of the group of ranges of cells which I've named, it'll bring it directly to that. So very useful for that. It's also very useful for formulae as well, and we're going to see how that works in a moment. So all I've done is I've set up a duration discount and I've put in the ranges of days that a person might hire a car for. So between 0 and 7, they're going to get a discount of €20. Between 7 and 10, 27. Between 10 and 30, €35. And anything else is going to be €35. That's the way I've set it up. Now, so what do? Well, firstly, if you want to see what names you've set up, you can go into the formulas option here. And you've got this thing called Name Manager. So when I click on that, you can see I've got two kind of ranges defined here: car types and duration. And if you want to change or delete things, you can do it from here. Usually, it's easier to just delete a named range than to actually edit it or change it. It's usually just as easy to just delete it and rename it. I'm just going to show you how you do that. So, just for the sake of what I'm doing here, I'll copy this. Control C, just put it over here. Control V. And copy that. Now, if I wanted to give this group of cells a name, then I just select them. I click into the name box and I give it a name. We call this one durations with an S, so it's plural, to differentiate from this one, which is duration. And press enter. There can be no spaces in the name range. Now, anywhere I am in this spreadsheet, doesn't matter where I am, if I click on this and I select durations, it'll bring me back to this group of cells I just named. So that's named range. If I want to get rid of this named range, I go to the name manager, durations, and just delete it. Okay, the named range is gone. Notice that it doesn't actually delete the cells, it just deletes the name. So that's important. So let's get rid of this. We'll actually delete this whole thing now. Sorry, I'll clear the contents. Okay, so now we're back to where we were. We have a named range called duration, and this is it here. Now back to the formula. So on the price calculator now, we want to use that, and we want to use it as a VLOOKUP. So let's click into this cell here, and here's the way we use it. So we say equal to VLOOKUP. So we're going to use a VLOOKUP bracket. It says what's the lookup value? Well, the lookup value is the number of days duration that the user wants the car for. So that's in here. So we click onto that cell. Comma. Now it's asking for this thing called a table array. Well, a table array is either a selection of cells or a named range. And we know we have a named range called duration. And as I type, you can see that these names come up here. You can see the symbol here that indicates the named range. So I'll select that one there. That's my named range. Comma. So I want to take whatever number is in here. I want to go to the named range called duration. And the VLOOKUP goes down the first column of duration to try and make a match. When it does make a match, we want to bring back whatever is in the second column, so the equivalent value. So I put in 2, comma. Now here's an example where, and reasonably unusual, but it's an example where you now want to do an approximate match. So if somebody puts in 8 days, well, you know you're going to get a correct answer. If somebody puts in 3 days, you're going to get a correct answer, because it's going to try and find the nearest approximate match to what the user puts in. So I'll select true and close the bracket. Press enter. And we can see here the user's put in 12 days and the answer we get is €35. Well, let's check that on the rules. So I need to find the duration, and here's where I have the duration here. I could equally have clicked on the name box. So 12 days is between 10 and 30, and it will give me 35 euros discount, which is correct. Let's try it again. Let's say the person puts in, they want the car for 4 days. What else do they get? They get 20 euros discount. Is that correct? Well, let's have a look. Duration, 4 days, 20 euros discount is what they should get. So it's very similar to the example we did in the labs on the excuse me, the marks and the grades. More normally you need an exact match, but in this particular case you need an approximate match, and that's the way the VLOOKUP will operate.